the Georgia Raptor. Back on the 25th of July in 2008, a young 18-year-old man and his grandfather went on a trip down into the forests of Georgia, out in remote locations in the hopes of bagging a fresh deer on a small little hunting escapade. The trip had been planned more than a year in advance, and the two were wanting to look into old areas of which do not usually have a lot of human activity in the hopes of finding a native species of deer that was not as skittish of human intervention in the region. The grandson wrote a letter in which he described that as he was on the hunting trip with his grandfather at around 3:30 p.m, when the two were walking down what appeared to be a small animal trail, they heard a strange noise that they previously had never heard before. Suddenly, he describes that something started slowly walking out from behind the bushes and onto the pathway roughly 150 yards in front of them. The creature appeared at first to be similar in size and shape to that of a velociraptor. However, the two described that the creature had feathers down the nape of its neck and at the edges of its body. This has earned the creature the name of the Georgia Raptor, and ever since this first reported sighting, many others have come forward about encountering the creature, with some even believing that it could be a surviving species of a large bird-like creature that has directly descended from a family of the raptor known as a troodon. Others have reported hearing strange noises in the night and even finding strange specimens of feces that appear to have been created from that of a larger bird similar to that of an ostrich. For those that are not aware, an ostrich is a very close descendant to that of the family related to the velociraptors, and even have the majority of the same physical structures and group-like intelligences. This could very well be supporting evidence of a yet-to-be-uncovered descendant of the raptor living in the wooded lands of the state of Georgia. The Burrunjaw of Australia. There are more than enough variations in species all across the Australian outback for many experts to be unaware of their existence. Given the nature of the outback and its incredibly hostile environment, unsurprisingly, the area does not see much human activity, if any. This, of course, goes without saying that the Australian outback is at the centre of many myths and legends involving that of a wide variety of terrifying creatures roaming the landscape. Many of these focus around the encounters that native Aboriginal peoples have when travelling through the outback and passing down stories of strange creatures they fought or were attacked by. One is the story of the Burrunjaw, of which is a creature that shares incredible similarities to that of a Tyrannosaurus rex, although not as tall as its ancient ancestor. Moulds of large three-toed footprints have also been created from imprints found out in the Australian outback at more than 3 feet in width and 4 feet in length. According to the Aboriginal myths, there roams a massive lizard with the tail of an alligator that walks on 2 hind legs, possesses a massive and powerful jaw, and has 2 short arms at its chest. Interestingly enough, there has been a large number of reports of a T-Rex-like creature out in the Australian outback, with TV networks going out to film episodes centering around the discovery of the creature and its existence. Although it's unlikely that the T-Rex survived in such a climate, given the large number of reptiles of all sizes in the Australian outback, it could be a very real possibility that the descendant of the creature exists today, roaming in some of the largest and emptiest landscapes in history. Never found Cleopatra's tomb. There are many stories of Cleopatra, her beauty, and her lover Mark Antony. Cleopatra is probably one of the most famous people from our history, and most of us heard of her, even as kids. She was a member of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the last known pharaoh of Egypt. The ancient writers claim that Cleopatra VII was buried together with Mark Antony back in 30 BC. Cleopatra and Antony were lovers who just wanted to be together forever. It is believed that Cleopatra actually committed a suicide 2 weeks after Octavian defeated Antony and invaded Egypt. The writer known as Plutarch claimed that the tomb could be found near the temple of Isis, a beautiful Egyptian goddess. Plutarch also said the tomb would contain gold treasures, silver, pearls, ivory, emeralds, and ebony. Back in 2010, Zahi Hawass former Minister of Antiquities of Egypt, conducted various excavations at the site found near Alexandria, currently known as Taposiris Magna. The site contained 27 tombs and 10 mummies, all dating back to the era of Cleopatra VII and her ruling of Egypt. Sadly, it was no luck for Hawass. He did not find the tomb he was looking for, and he probably never will. Some theories suggest that Octavian would never let Cleopatra and Antony get buried in such a great manner, while others believe he was not as heartless, considering he let Cleopatra make a funeral for her Antony after his tragic defeat. Some archaeologists claim that even if we would find Cleopatra's tomb now, it would probably be very heavily plundered and completely unidentifiable. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Reality or a myth? The ancient writers describe them as a series of beautiful gardens that have been constructed at the ancient Babylon city. No one really knows the exact time when these gardens could have been built, but many seem to be impressed by the gardens and they believe they are a wonder of the world. One of the texts claims that the gardens were built by a Babylonian emperor, Nebuchadnezzar, for his lovely wife, Amytis. Back in 250 BC, Philo of Byzantium wrote about the Hanging Gardens, saying the plants were cultivated at a height that was above ground level. Throughout the years, many archaeologists have tried to find the Hanging Gardens. They even excavated Babylon, and they were still not able to find any of the remains of this beautiful garden. Just when we all thought the Hanging Gardens were just a myth, an interesting story appeared by a researcher who has spent over 20 years looking for the location of the gardens. 2013, Stephanie Daly from the University of Oxford proposed that the gardens were located at the Assyrian city, Nineveh. Dr. Daly managed to combine the ancient maps with today's versions of the maps to finally locate this famous place. Dr. Daly also says that Nineveh is actually New Babylon and that we have been looking at the wrong place for the entire time. Sadly, past 2 decades, these zones have been suffering a lot of damage from looting and war, so it is very unlikely we are ever going to find these beautiful gardens. If the Hanging Gardens really did exist, we hope to find them someday. From the descriptions, these were something we have never seen before. The Golden Owl hidden in France. Created by French author and communications expert Régis Hauser under the pen name of Max Valentin, On the Trail of the Golden Owl is a 22-page book filled with complex codes, riddles, and puzzles that outline the details of how to uncover a hidden artifact created by the book's illustrator and win the prize supplied by the author, which is a statuette of an owl created from solid gold and silver and affixed with several diamonds across the top. The author has passed away in recent time, yet the treasure detailed in this book still has yet to be found by enthusiasts and devout treasure hunters from across the world. Many treasure hunters pursue the quest today, not for the riches, but for the bragging rights of being able to uncover the secrets of the complex codes and riddles. The treasure of the Golden Owl is valued at 150,000 euros, but can easily be auctioned off at a much higher price. The creator of the riddles and codes also claimed to have put a tremendous amount of time into false trails and misinformation in the riddle to throw off treasure hunters and prevent the treasure from being found too quickly. Valentin later clarified that he had visited the site several times to ensure the presence of the treasure still in its rightful place and found it to be undisturbed. Evidence of people being roughly within 400 feet of the treasure had been reported by Max Valentin in an interview later held. Of course, as time grew and no participants could find the treasure, Valentin set up the MaxVol server to help answer any questions treasure hunters might have and provide additional clues. After answering over 100,000 questions pertaining to the search over the span of several years, Valentin closed the server and remnants of the information exist to this day. No one has found the treasure, but given the advancements and information shared today, a winner should be able to finish the treasure hunt sometime soon.